Did you believe, as I did for many years, that bank's business was to lend you money when you want to start your own business? Uh, if you think so, you're just wrong, totally wrong, and that is a very costly mistake. I made that mistake for many years when I started my first business when I was 23. That was back in the 1980s, a long time ago. I was convinced that my project was the best in the world and that every single banker would beg me to lend me money. I was quickly disappointed when I realized that every time I was telling with a lot of passion what my business was about, he would politely tell me, "Oh, Mr. Winnicky, that's a very exciting idea. But do you have um, some properties, a house, some land, or something that you could put as a guarantee, that you could provide me as a guarantee if I lend you the 100,000 euros you ask me to provide you with?" And I said, "No, but if I had that amount of money, if I had a house or whatever, I would not come to you to ask you for the money. It's because I don't have that money that I'm asking you to lend me the money." And that would be every single time the same disappointment, every single time. And I'm sure that some of you have already experienced the same disappointment. But let me tell you something that is logical. Why? Because banker's business, as surprising as it may sound, is not to lend you money if you want to start your own business. I understood that just a few years ago, perhaps 10, 12 years ago, when I started working on trust and distrust factors. And I was discussing with a senior officer in a major bank, who said to me the following thing. He said, "Mr. Winnicky, do you realize that if I lend you, Pierre, 100,000 euros, and that unfortunately your company goes bankrupt, I will lose immediately the 100,000 euros that I provided you with. And do you know, Mr. Winnicky, how many other clients I need to have to balance for the 100,000 euros I lost with your company?" And I said, "No." He said, 1,000 clients. Why is that? Because on each one of these single clients, the banker will make a very small amount of money every year on his credit card. When you get money, cash out of the OTM distributor, on small transactions, the banker makes a very small amount of money every time. But multiplied by a million clients, that makes a lot of money at the end of the day. So I realized that I was in a dream for many years. And why is that? Because, in fact, bankers entertain that dream because in every single advertising they make on TV, on billboards, they claim we are the bankers of entrepreneurs. And that's just not true. Um, so um, when I asked him why, what should I do then? He said to me, "Pierre, if you want to get money for your startup, for your company that you're starting, which is risky, it's risky to start a company, as you know, of course." He said, "You should turn to companies whose business is to take risks, as you. If you win, they win. If you lose, they lose. And those are not the commercial bankers that you and me know and that you see everywhere. This is a different industry, which is called the investment industry. Different type categories, subcategories lie in this box, I would say. When you hear about venture capital money, investment banks, business angels, um, even in Africa, les tontines, to a certain extent, um, know that when they invest in your company, perhaps they will not recover their money or make any gains because there is a risk that you fail. But there is also a risk, an opportunity that you succeed. And in that case, not only will you make money, but they will as well. So don't waste your time explaining banks about how great your business is, that unless you have some guarantees, he or she will not be able to help you. It's just not their business. Now the question is, and I'm talking about my African friends, my Cameroonese friends, um, is there today an industry of capital investment, venture capital in Cameroon? I'm just speaking about Cameroon now. I don't know much about it for other countries, but in Cameroon, I'm sorry to say, but today venture capital and investment banking does not, in my experience and from what I know, really exist in Cameroon. Perhaps in a very limited scale, but not really. And this is a problem because that limits greatly the ability to develop prosperity in Cameroon, because just you as young entrepreneur or older entrepreneurs will have a very hard time finding the investors to invest in your company. But I'm sure and I'm absolutely convinced that the wonderful project of House of Trust for Peace and Prosperity, which we are initiating now in Cameroon, and we had this wonderful launching event a few days ago in Boya, in the southwest region of the country of Cameroon, with also our friends from Northwest, Bamenda, and the region. We all initiated a dynamics which I'm convinced will not only contribute to generating peace, but also to generate prosperity by establishing an ecosystem of trust which will motivate and mobilize investors, private investors from Cameroon, but and also from the diaspora and from international investors to trust in your projects and invest in your projects, because that is their business. And if there is a trusting relationship between you as entrepreneurs and them as investors, it will match and your businesses will be a success. And how do we build and entertain a trusting relationship between investors and entrepreneurs? That will be for the next discussion we'll have in a very short time. Take care. Have a good time.